listening to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro, the place to learn about new technology and technological advances before they become mainstream. This podcast is sponsored by Ingram Micro's Imagine Next. It's not about the destination. It's about going someplace you never thought possible. Go to imaginenext.ingrammicro.com to find out more. Let's get into it.
Welcome to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro. I'm your host, Carrie Roberts, and my guest today is Alex Madrigal, the North American Business Development Leader of Strategic Embedded Partners at IBM. Welcome, Alex. Thanks for being here.
Carrie, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
So in the last few months, we've seen an increase in telehealth and remote healthcare workers. And healthcare is using technology such as chatbots or 24-hour service digital assistants and more to allow the medical field to focus on more critical healthcare cases. But of course, many question how these conversations get tracked and stay secure. Can you share some insight on this?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question, Carrie. You know, as we've adapted to this new norm due to the pandemic and our lives have changed, we've seen companies greatly embrace and leverage technologies such as AI as part of that adaptation process. You may have heard of AI, artificial intelligence, being referred to as augmented intelligence as well. And that's certainly what we are seeing in some of the trends. An example is Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. They needed urgent help in managing their COVID-19 hotline. You know, as you could expect, people panic in the middle of a health crisis, and they can very easily overwhelm the systems. In fact, the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta estimated that they were receiving between 5,000 and 10,000 calls every day on this topic alone. And so in an attempt to help Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, IBM developed a text-based virtual assistant and a functional voice agent to address some of the most frequently asked questions, which were, coming in from concerned parents. What this allowed, or the result of this was it allowed the doctors, the nurses, the physician assistants to focus on more critical patients. And the way that this worked was twofold. One of them is we had a chatbot right on the website where people could go into the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta website, and a chatbot would pop up and ask specific questions. Does your child have a fever or a cough? If yes, if people answered yes, it would trigger the next set of questions. But one of the questions also was, has your child been around or been exposed to somebody with COVID-19? And then it would set other sets of questions. The idea was to determine when a nurse or a doctor was needed, or when a chatbot would be able to address some of the most frequently asked questions. And, in what's crucial in situations like this is understanding the requirements, understanding the data that's there, and then in doing so, being able to alleviate the stress that is put on the system. We want to pass questions that include personal data or confidential information to a live agent, but we want to limit those to only when needed. So you put certain parameters and requirements around the model that you built. And so that's kind of how that works. And then another great example that we're seeing is a company that's leveraging virtual reality glasses to provide in-home physical therapy. Their application collects data from patients when they're doing certain movements. So it looks at the range of motion, their strength, their elasticity, how long they can stretch their arms or their legs out. And then as it collects this data, it then sends it to the physical therapist. The physical therapist can review the data, and then they can make alterations or changes to the treatment plan based on data. And the beautiful thing about this is that this can all be done without the patient needing to go into a hospital or a clinic where they can potentially be exposed to some risks.
We've been hearing a lot about VR kind of up and coming, but haven't heard it been used so much before. And I love that they're using that in the physical therapy world. I mean, the patients that are using it, are they enjoying it just as much as the physical therapists?
It's so funny that you ask. I think that they might be enjoying it more. You're able to create some games or some really cool environments. One of the ones that I seen was, somebody walking through a forest and trying to collect leaves off of tree branches. So you're adding a gamification to it, and as people reach up to grab a leaf or to shake a branch, there are certain movements, and those movements is what triggers the data. How far can you reach with your right arm versus your left arm? Can you hold your right arm while shaking a branch longer than you can with your left? That sort of thing is meaningful and important for the physical therapist. So I think that some of the patients are actually enjoying this more.
That's incredibly exciting. Now, IBM has an option that provides partners with a vehicle to create unique solutions with IBM's technology to help solve problems similar to what we just mentioned. And we're talking about the Embedded Solution Agreement and the Embedded Partner Program. For those that don't know what that is, can you explain very simply what it is?
Sure. The Embedded Partner Program at IBM provides companies the opportunity to enhance their own products or services while leveraging or integrating IBM solutions. In its most traditional sense, we can think of it as an OEM model, where our Embedded Partner Program expands and it allows companies to leverage software, our cloud services, our SaaS offerings, our systems, power and storage, as well as some of IBM's services. The program allows companies to use and leverage the cutting edge technology and combine it with their own IP so that they can deliver a total solution to their customers under their own brand, terms, and conditions.
Now, why do you suggest that customers be utilizing this, and how do they market that solution once it's been built?
Yeah, okay, that's another great question. The goal of the program really is to enhance what our partners are currently delivering to market or help them deliver a new solution. So IBM, for many, many years, we've developed enterprise-ready, scalable, and secure technologies. And so in integrating a customer's product with those IBM technologies, it gives our partners a faster time to market, reduced development costs, increased profits, and the ability to meet the customer demand while really differentiating their solutions from their competitor solutions. In fact, we had a nucleus research study done years ago that identified that when partners embed IBM analytics tools into their platforms, they see a 15% year-over-year growth in revenue. And one of the great benefits of the Embed Partner Program is that it's a really flexible program. We tailor and customize our agreements to truly match how our partners, and what we want to do is once you become a partner, we then want to help you gain brand awareness, gain some market share, and we do that by offering growth funds and co-marketing funds that our partners can use on things like SEO, SEM, event sponsorships, advertising, content creation. And what's really cool is that our partner program is not just for the large enterprises or the mature, established organizations. We are partnering with startups, ISVs, managed service providers, cloud service providers. And in fact, we have the Startup with IBM program where companies can leverage up to $120,000 in free credits to the IBM cloud for the purpose of them building and developing a solution which integrates technologies like analytics, blockchain, Watson AI, and security.
I mean, I think that's great that you're really hitting from not only the enterprises, but from the startup place as well. Do you have any customer success stories you can share with us in terms of the value this has brought to them, including the data you provide?
Yeah, absolutely. But I just want to be clear. We don't provide our partners with data. The data is their own. It's their product, it's their customers, it's their services. We have technologies and solutions that can help them gather data, collect the data, store the data, or secure it. But we don't provide the data as part of this. But we certainly do have a lot of success stories and really some really cool use cases. Before I share one specific one, I just wanted to point out that we do support and work with partners across all industries: public sector, manufacturing, distribution, retail, financial services. But in light of the pandemic going on and how we started this conversation, I wanted to share a really unique story in the partnership that we have with Code Objects, which is a company that serves the insurance industry. In this insurance industry, some of the most important calls, unfortunately come during some of the most stressful circumstances. In fact, insurance calls surge after natural disasters. And what this does is it creates a backlog and long waits for policyholders who are already stressed right after they've lost a house, damaged cars, or what have you. So Code Objects wanted to use AI to help the insurance companies respond to calls quickly and more efficiently. And in partnering with IBM to develop an insurance-specific chatbot while leveraging Watson, Code Objects helped insurance companies improve responsiveness by automatically responding to policyholders' questions and requests, and then automating business transactions. What I mean by this is prior to this Watson-enabled solution, a lot of customers had to speak to a live human to get the answers that they needed. And during a natural disaster, the backlog was great. But by leveraging data and really embedding the data into the platform, Watson was able to help drive insight from the data. So if a policyholder called and they gave their policy number, they were able to understand what their deductibles were, how much they were covered for. They were able to learn whether the natural disaster was covered or not. So as a result of this Watson-enabled chatbot, the insurance companies that Code Objects services, they were able to eliminate call wait times. They helped the companies save $1 per minute, and overall, they reduced the average call times by more than 75%. The best thing about this, though, is that, at least in my opinion, is that they did all of this to help the insurance companies, but they did it really to improve the customer satisfaction, right? If you're a policyholder and you called and you had no wait time or your call time was reduced, you left that call feeling a lot happier and a lot better than you would have otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, the value of that, like you said, goes beyond just saving money and time. When you create customer satisfaction, people want to come back, they talk about it, and it's just a huge help in so many ways. Your relationship, IBM with Ingram, is that kind of like you're a third party to the SaaS product and then Ingram's a third party to IBM? Like, how does this kind of all work in the ecosystem where everyone's helping one another?
Yeah, absolutely. It can be confusing for sure. So to try to explain it, what we are after in this Embedded Partner Program is we are looking to go and partner with the next Facebook, the next Airbnb, the next Uber, and identify them and work with them at an early stage, right? And have them build their platform, rather have them build their solution, leveraging and integrating IBM technologies. So could, the next Uber run on IBM Cloud? Could the next Facebook use IBM Blockchain or Watson AI? And so we worked closely with Ingram Micro to not only identify that next candidate, but then also bring them into our ecosystem. How do we contract with them? How do we then partner with them and go to market with them? So although we might be out looking for these companies, so is Ingram Micro, and we use the Embedded Solution Partnership Program to bring them in.
And so if a partner is working with you, is it something where they still own their product and you're getting like a percentage of something, or how does that kind of work as far as ownership?
Yep, it's totally their product. So what we do is we give them a piece of technology that they can integrate or embed into their product, but the product is theirs. The solution is there. They own their customers. They own their sales cycle. They can use resellers. It's a really flexible agreement that they can go sell worldwide under their own T's and C's. IBM just, essentially provides them the tools or the technology to make their product better.
Real quick, before we jump straight back into the episode today, we want to tell you about Ingram Micro Financial Solutions and how you can maximize your buying power and get to yes with your customers faster. For the last 9 years, Ingram Micro has been Channel Pro's reader's choice for best financing options. Put the power of our credit and leasing options to work for you. You can easily contact Financial Solutions at ingrammicro.com. All right, let's get back to the show.
And so how do you go about finding these people? Because, there's definitely a lot of startups that are looking for investors or looking for opportunities to grow. What is your process in doing that? Or do people apply? Or how do people even find out how to be a part of this?
Yeah, so we definitely have some marketing campaigns out in the market globally, searching for next generation partners. We attend events and conferences. So, we were part of a conference in San Francisco in the fall where we ended up speaking with 500 or so developers in the span of 2 days to understand what technologies that they were using. With the IBM's acquisition of Red Hat last year, we're heavily invested in open source and really embracing open source in everything that we do. So we want to work with these companies and understand what their product roadmaps are, what their customers are asking of them or from them to improve their solutions. In understanding that, being able to align our technologies to meet those demands. And then we also have, I mentioned, the startup with IBM program. There's a lot of programs that help these companies use IBM technologies as the building blocks as they build their solution, sell their solution, go to market, and grow. Right? So we have to look at it as a journey, and we want to partner with you throughout the life of that journey.
And so if somebody's not at an event or something you host, but they want to talk to someone at IBM or Ingram, how do they do that? Do you have an application or a certain level that they have to be at? What are the requirements and the way to connect with someone to have a conversation about this?
No, yeah, you can, once you go into the IBM Partner World site and look for ESA, you could submit a request. IBM actually, we have the same technology, Watson AI. We have chatbots, and so people can go onto the chatbot and express interest in this type of program, and they will be connected with an embedded partner rep and executive. We also are doing webinars and workshops virtual right now. But, the other things that we're doing as part of our strategy is we are participating. There's about 12 or 13 cities in North America that have been designated as investing heavily in technologies. Obviously, we know San Francisco and Austin, but there's other ones where they have incubator programs, they have tech startups, they have, co-working spaces, and they help them with venture capital, all of that. We want to be active in those cities. We want to help mentor some companies. We want to, become, I don't like the phrase trusted advisor because I believe it's overly used too much, but we really want to be able to, provide our feedback and our insight into what technologies they could be or should be using, or how their product could be a little bit better by enhancing it with, blockchain or AI.
I am so excited. I did not know about all of this, and I think it's great that you're doing all of this. Do you have to be a developer, or can this be anyone that has an idea and a plan and kind of a design in their head?
It could be anyone, as long as you have, a team around you that can build the technology, and you're part of an organization. We welcome ideas. What we're really after is identifying or developing really disruptions that will improve the world that we all live in, the world that we all work in. How can technology improve processes? How can technology improve health, telehealth, like we talked about earlier, or education? So if people have ideas, but then they need, the marketing know-how, or they need, support with technologies, that's how we can assist.
But I always feel like IBM sometimes is old, or people don't think about it the same way they think about Amazon or Google.
So the funny thing about this is your perception of IBM is not far off from the general public's perception, right? We've heard that. Our clients are saying that. We go to these events and people say that. My role, right, in really kind of going after that next generation partner is to change that, right? IBM, people think of IBM as, they serve the top 10 banks in the world. They serve the top, 50 retailers. You have to be a big conglomerate to be an IBM customer. But in reality, that's changing, right? And so my team, my group, we're trying to go after that next startup. And in doing that, everything has to be different. We have to communicate differently. We have to even dress differently, right? So I was talking to somebody at an event and they said, I used to think of IBM, blue suit, white shirt. And in reality, when we go to these conferences, I support and encourage jeans and sneakers and a t-shirt if you can. That's how developers are dressing. The events that we host, and unfortunately because of COVID and the pandemic, everything's been put on hold, but the events that we host are at really hip, cool venues where we want to, like a bar that has ping pong or has axe throwing or has, giant Jenga and cornhole. And we want to network in spaces where these startups foster. So we're doing like a morning brew, which is where we're picking some cool coffee shops around the country and just, putting an invite on Eventbrite and saying, hey, IBM is buying coffee. If you're, a developer or a startup in the area, come between 7 and 8 and have a cup of coffee and just, kind of a no pressure, no agenda. Let's come talk about the technologies, right, that you're using. What are you seeing in the world? And we're really trying to understand what they're doing so that we can align to that. But it's definitely a different approach. We're in this space, we're not going after, hey, you have to have $1 million investment with us. The idea is get you started with us and we will grow with you.
And then on top of that, you're also helping them market this product as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we do is we offer them co-marketing dollars. For very selfish reasons, I'd like to say, the more success our partners have, the more sales, the more clients, the more IBM technology that they drag with it. So we want to help them be successful. We want to help them get new customers. And to do that, we offer things like co-marketing dollars and growth funds so that they can attend conferences, seminars. They can, build on their SEO or SEM. We really want them to gain market share, gain clients, gain sales, because the more they do so, the more IBM technology they bring to the market and the more our market share increases.
That is great. That's really exciting. One of the questions we ask all of our guests on this show, and it can pertain to what we're talking about or as a whole, is where do you see technology going within the next year?
It's a great question. So we started the podcast, you were asking me about telehealth as a result of the pandemic. I truly believe that as unfortunate as this is, the pandemic has accelerated some of the trends that we've been expecting and we've been focusing on, primarily digital transformation. In my opinion, the acceleration will result in just faster and greater adoption and implementation of AI, and also really the acceptance of hybrid cloud environments as the standard architecture. We're all getting used to social distancing, quarantining, and more time spent at home. And the industries are being disrupted while companies are faced with the challenge of how do I provide my employees access to the tools, the platforms, the data that they need to continue doing their jobs while servicing their clients. And people are using virtual meetings, collaboration platforms, both professionally and personally, which has led to a spike in cloud usage. So I believe that as there's new ways of working, and these new ways are going to place a unique demand and opportunities for companies across all industries. These companies, the companies that are able to adapt, that are able to develop a solution on open source standards, embracing AI, embracing hybrid cloud, those are the companies that are really going to succeed in this new world economy, which coincides with the message and the direction that we have been providing to our strategic embedded partners. In fact, an interesting stat that I read a while ago was that enterprises that use AI will be 50% faster than those that do not by 2024, according to a study by IDC. And that's a stat that we've used with our partners as trying to work with them in helping them develop their strategy, their product roadmap, right? How are they embracing, how are they adapting AI? Is the data in place for them to do so? But to further illustrate what I'm talking about, just want to use a couple of examples. Everyone today, they're doing more online shopping than ever. People are ordering everything from a TV to a bedroom set to groceries online and through apps. We're no longer relying on the salesperson's opinion or information on a product when we go to a store. Rather, people are looking for feedback from thousands of other consumers on the web. They demand access to data quickly. They expect to have the same experience when shopping online as they do when they go into the store. In fact, just a little bit of a personal story, my wife and I are expecting our first baby this fall. And traditionally, you'd expect to go to a store, push a stroller, pick up a car seat, determine, is the stroller smooth? Is the car seat too heavy? Does it fit in your car? But we're not able to do so. So we're doing this and truly embracing the online experience by reading reviews, comparing, one car seat to the next based on weight, going into a forum or a mom blog post and seeing that specific brand of car seat, did it fit with the car, the model? And so it's really, changing how we as humans go about our day to day. And I believe that to meet these demands, companies must have the correct technology platforms in place. They have to have secure, accurate, and up-to-the-minute data that's accessible from anywhere, which is why I think that the technology platforms are the basis for competitive advantage in the 21st century and going forward.
Well, first off, congratulations to you and your wife on expecting a new child soon. And we've discussed a ton of information here. Where can people learn more about what we talked about today, or if they want to connect with you to ask any questions they may have?
Thank you, Carrie. So personally, I can be reached via LinkedIn. Search my name, Alex Madrigal. You can also contact Kevin Fisher at Ingram Micro. His email is kevin.fisher@ingrammicro.com. And to learn more about the Embedded Partner Program, people can visit IBM Partner World and search for ESA or Embedded Solutions Agreement.
Well, thank you so much, Alex, for sharing your knowledge and passion with us today.
No, thank you, Carrie. Greatly appreciate it.
If you like this episode or have a question, join the discussion on Twitter at Ingram TechSoul with the hashtag B2B Tech Talk. Thank you for tuning in and subscribing to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro.
You've been listening to B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro, hosted by Carrie Roberts. This episode was sponsored by Ingram Micro's Imagine Next. B2B Tech Talk is a joint production with Sweetfish Media and Ingram Micro. Ingram Micro production handled by Laura Burton and Christine Fan. To not miss an episode, subscribe today on your favorite podcast platform.